So, how many of you guys ever have a problem with the boys getting out of hand, not participating, getting rowdy?
Yeah.
Never happens? Dang, okay,
Guess that'll
good.
be a
This is the right
100%
group. You need to tell us your secret. You do have a problem. And these are 12 and 13-year-old boys, and they are a struggle once in a while. And so we wanted to talk for just a few minutes. What do we do about that? So what does some of you guys do to try to help that situation before I get into what the suggestions from Scouts are? What do you
Well,
do?
this is obviously coming from a woman's point of view, but I've worked with Scouts for quite a few,
Mhm.
over 20 years. If you don't have a plan on what you're gonna do, they are gonna run all over you. You may have to amend the plan as you go along. You know, what you started out doing may not be what you end up doing, but if you have no plan, then you'll have no control.
Okay, so having a plan, fairly detailed plan, I would think you'd say too, yeah. Okay, so what else? What else do you guys do?
What I do is the ones that I have the most trouble with, the ones that are kind of causing the problems, I make them my leaders. So they usually have the most energy and if you can focus and channel them, and help them, get them focused on a project to teach the other boys, then they actually make better
They
leaders.
usually do things, yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I was just gonna say
Yeah.
that they do a lot better if they come up with an idea. Like you were
Mhm.
saying, you know, you help lead them in the right things, so
If
they're not
they-
something crazy.
Yeah, if they are the leader and you keep them from being crazy, maybe, yeah. Yeah, I agree, yeah. So these are all things that Scouting says to do anyway, and these are the things that are listed here. They tossed in a couple of other things. If an older scout isn't learning a particular skill because he already knows it, stick him with somebody else so that he learns it. But this goes along with what you're saying, being a leader.
Make it fun.
Assigns a mentor to somebody, sometimes an adult, if you have enough adults there. That's always an issue. And I work in the school system, and I work every day with 12 and 13-year-olds. And I kind of took a look at some of the teachers that are very successful with classes of 30 kids. And I want to share some things that they do to try to keep things going. And one is the well-planned lesson that every teacher that I run across that does a great job, they know exactly what they're planning to accomplish that day, and they have a well-planned lesson. They keep the pace moving along so that kids don't have time to get idle and then start being bored and doing other things. So they keep things moving. They let the kids move. They're sitting in a class for an hour. A lot of the teachers will stop after 10 or 15 minutes, have the kids stand up, move around, go do something, turn to their neighbor and do something. They do a lot of stuff where they get to move, and boys especially need to move.
Do they do a cheer?
They don't do any cheers, although they do some. I was just in a class, you know, they're doing all the big SAGE testing stuff right now, and one of the teachers got the kids in there, and she had a cheer written up on the board. She says, "Okay, guys, come on. We're gonna do this cheer together," and she's been doing it with every one of her classes, and the kids get a kick out of it, and they all stand up and say the cheer, and it's kind of fun, and the kids liked it. They laughed about it because she made little silly comments about what they were going to do, but get really high scores, and they laughed, and when she said that, and she laughed too, and it was good. So they do.
Good.
Yeah. They look for the kids that might be having a rough day that day. They get to know their kids, and they kind of pay attention. They know the kids that have a struggle. They kind of know what's going on with some kids. They try to do things with that kid before something happens in the classroom. Give them something to do, let them sit in the corner and be quiet. They get to know their kids and kind of provide them with things. Let them be isolated, just different kinds of things to help them out. They give them something to do, they let them help in the lesson that day, just different things. The things that you were talking about there with getting them to do, be the leader instead of the detractor is kind of what it amounts to. And I was going to tell you a little bit of a story. Has a little bit more to do with Clark was involved in this. I don't know if he remembers it, but my brother was telling me about it. I got a couple things from my brother.
Uh-oh.
But the end result of scouting and boys having a purpose, and that's what the idea is today, is make sure every kid has something going on in that meeting. And he's learning, teaching, doing. But a year or two after I was out of the Explorer post that Clark and I were in, they were up on the Hyuindas, and Clark was one of the older boys then. And somebody had a seizure or something like that. Do you remember this, Clark?
Not right yet.
Okay. But anyway, they had to do some rescue. They actually, somebody went, and my brother told me it was you, hiked clear out of Chain Lakes, clear down to somewhere, packed an oxygen bottle up to the, back up into somewhere around, above Chain Lake, somewhere up there. Do you remember this?
No.
Maybe my brother made it up in his head, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, what happened was the leaders weren't even there when this first happened. And the boys took over. And they started doing stuff. And the leaders eventually got there. My brother was one of the younger kids, and they stuck him on the trail to direct people when they came up. So he had a job, and every kid was doing something. And the next day they got a helicopter in there and life flighted the kid out. And you don't remember this.
I'm positive, I don't remember.
Yeah.
If I walk out Chain Lakes and back, no doubt, I would remember that.
Okay, I'll have to ask my brother. He thought it was you that did that, so I'll have to ask him again. I'll say, brother, are you remembering something real, or what's going on here? He's told me that story before a little bit about the helicopter rescue. But the result is, because you keep these boys busy, you give them opportunities to learn, you give them chances to do leadership. When they're older, they're able to act. And that's ultimately what we're trying to get to happen. That's what all the scout building and character building stuff is all about. And it all starts right there in that meeting with every boy feeling like he's being useful and has a purpose in that meeting and stays busy and engaged in whatever the activity is in one way or another. And that's kind of where the leader comes in, because the boys run it, but the leaders try to make sure everybody's participating and has an opportunity. Anyway, that's it, yeah.
I had a friend who was a chemistry teacher at the high school, and one day I asked him how he managed to control, what he did for discipline in his class. And he said, you know, I don't really have to worry about discipline. Every week I call one parent from each class and tell them something good about their child. He said, sometimes all I can say is they were on time. But he said, every week I call someone, and it gets around, and now everybody's behaving because they want me to call their parent and say something good about them.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that would
That
apply
fits
in
into
scouting,
it, just
but
being
it's-
positive. Yeah, it's important. Yeah. Sometimes the only place these kids get